Welkom by Ons Goue Jare met die uwe Andre Walters. Ons Goue Jare is 'n gereelde weeklikse halfuur hier op die gunsteling radiostasie vir ouer mense en hulle kinders en kleinkinders, sodat hulle ook kan verstaan wat die uitdagings is van ouer word. Ja, dis jou teedringvriend wat net soos in die ou dae hier aangesweef kom op sy tower silwer teelepel vir 'n bietjie klets en 'n bietjie tee. En ons praat oor dinge wat belangrik is. Die kuns van ouer word en gelukkig ouer word. En wat het ons op ons spyskaart vandag? Ons gesels verder met Sid Eckley van die Help Seniors organisasie in ons program Profiel. En James Vossen, die sakekonsultant, is weer terug met 'n paar wenke wat hy toepas vir sy eie ouerwordingsproses. En weer eens gesels ons in ons mediese gleuf met Ken Mathis, die sielkundige. Dit is Profiel. Profiel kyk elke week na organisasies wat daarop ingestel is om ons ouer mense te help. Soos beloof, Sid Eckley is aan die woord van die Help Seniors organisasie. Sid, in ons eerste e-posse aan mekaar, it took me to task dat ek praat van ou mense en seniors en so aan. Wil jy 'n bietjie daaroor uitwy?
Wel, jy weet daar's ek het 'n jaar in Amerika gebly en ek het in Engeland het ek taamlik gewerk onder ouer mense. En daar het 'n vrou navorsing gedoen hier in die 90er jare in Engeland. Wat sê older persons love to be ill. Because they use illness as a bargaining chip. Okay. So en toe het ek die laaste lesing van Dr. Coleman, hy was 'n baie beroemde gerontoloog in Liverpool bygewoon, en hy daar by die podium gestaan, die hele saal was vol mense en so aan, en sê al hierdie dokumentasie oor veroudering, oud en wat ook al, het hy so opgegooi, sê dit beteken niks. Klim die skoene van 'n ouer mens. Vra hom, wil hy 'n oumaatjie wees? Wil hy oud wees? Jy weet, wil hy bejaard wees? Roem hy daarop bejaard te wees? Dan sê hy op die verkeerde pad. En toe haal hy sy knipmes uit. Toe sê hy, hierdie knipmes, kyk hierso, as ek hom sny, hy tweede, as ek so sny, hy maak jy 'n merk nie. Jy het stomp geword. Jy kom in 'n mededingende wêreld, jy gaan uit in 'n mededingende wêreld. So jy moet jouself slyp elke dag. En jy slyp nie dit deur in die wind rond te swaai nie, op 'n slypsteen. Slyp jy, dat jy nuttig kan wees. So die etiket wat jy dra, en hy het self so ver gegaan om te sê, om afslag te kry by 'n fliek, of om 'n bus te ry, is degrading vir ouderdom. Hy sê, hoekom het jy op grond daarvan dat jy ouderdom bereik het, moet ek nou voordele trek? Nee. Hy sê, jy moet werk daarvoor, en as jy dit verdien, fair enough, dan kan jy dit kry. So, en toe, dit was in die 90er jare, en toe die Madrid konferensie in 2002, waar die hele aard, of sal ek sê, die aarde van veroudering hersien is, en wat gesê het, ouer mense met langer werk, hulle moet ingestel wees om produktief te lewe en gezond te lewe, en die term aktiewe veroudering het toe daar uitgekom, was haar vreeslike sterkte pleidooi van die grootste ouerpersone organisasie in die wêreld, en dis die Amerikaanse organisasie, older persons, jy weet, en hulle het toe gesê, away with age, nothing, no reference to, you can be an older person, and you actually live an extended middle life. And the older generation will still like to be called ou tannie, ou oom,
Ja.
ouer van daar, enzovoort.
Ja.
But not the new upcoming generation. And what is so bad is that the image that older persons portray to the young generation as that I'm old. When I see old, I see uselessness. I see not able to look after myself and to be sustainable enzovoort. So en daarom met ons in die 2006 wetgewing het ons die ou wet wat die van age, die Aged Persons Act, is ons verander na die Older Persons Act. En dit is wat nou mag gebeur. Maar as jy kyk na, hier's 'n boek met die naam van Ageless Generation, het is die mees omvattendste studie van hoe ouer mense dink. Wat dink hulle van 'n familie, hulle self, van wie ook al, van geld, van politiek, en wat ook al. En wat interessant is, wat uitkom, is hulle dink nie ouderdom nie. Die nuwe generasie dink nie ouderdom, dink lewe.
Ja.
Hulle dink lewe, en hulle leef in 'n fase in hulle lewe, wat vol uitdagings is. Maar jy moet daai uitdagings gaan gebruik. Het jy nog drome? Is daar nog dinge wat jy wil doen? In Engeland het so 'n program met die naam van The Dark Horse Venture. Die Dark Horse Venture sê, eenmaal in 'n jaar, eenmaal 'n jaar, maar jy iets doen wat jy nog nooit gedoen. Dis 'n uitdaging. Ek bedoel, gaan dink, enige wat nou luister na jou, na ons hier, dan vra, wat is daar wat ek nog nooit gedoen het? En soek 'n geleentheid om dit te doen. En nou net nie onwissel goed gaan aanvang.
Ja, nee, regtig. Mense kan op verkeerde drome ook hê. Baie dankie vir die lekker gesels. Ek is seker dat dit gaan vir Goue Jare se luisteraars baie beteken. Baie dankie, Sid.
Want dit moet inderdaad Goue Jare wees. Daar's 'n baie pragtige boek wat mense vir hulself kan soek. Finishing Well van Bob Buford.
Bob wie?
Bob Buford.
Buford.
B-O-F-O-R-D. B-O-B-F-O-R-D. Bob Buford. Hy het getuienis by mekaar gemaak van hoe mense suksesvol aftree. Goed klaarmaak, mense. Hoe lyk
kan die boek aanbeveel, né?
Ja, enige tyd. Hy het 'n paar ander ook geskryf. Hy het nou veral vir die mense in hulle middeljare, ek weet nie of mense in hulle middeljare gaan luister nie, waar hy praat van the game plan. Het jy 'n spelplan vir die res van jou lewe? Maar gaan jy nou eers begin beplan as jy 80, 70, 60 is, wat ook al. En dit is daar ook baie ander kosbare goed. Wat vertel hoe ek goed kan klaarmaak. Dis die goeie jare. Dis goeie jare, goed klaarmaak.
Baie dankie, Sid. Dit was Sid Ekle van die Help Seniors organisasie. Dankie vir die lekker gesels, Sid. En sterkte met die werk wat jy doen. En nou is dit tyd vir ons onderhoud van die week. James Forsen is weer terug in die ateljee, die sakekonsultant, en ons luister graag na die wenke wat hy het vir goed ouer word. Weet nie hoe goed dit is om ouer te word nie, maar ten minste dan om gracieus ouer te word. What role does spirituality play in your life, since that you were a child of the Creator?
Well, I think you've got to look inside yourself for this. You've got to understand that you're part of the universe, and within that you have a role to play. And the way you live out your spirituality is by doing the things that make sense to you, that give meaning to your life, and give meaning and value to other people's lives. And that is the process of bringing it to fruition.
I used the word spirituality on purpose rather than religion. You know, people quite often confuse religion with spirituality. For me, religion is a formalized worship. It's with other people. It's in a group. It's an organized and formalized type of worship. and there's a place for it. It's important, and for some people it's more important than anything else in their lives. But the term spirituality means that you have a one-to-one relationship with a great knower within, whatever you would like to call that knower. But this is common to all religions. It's amazing. They all believe this central thing, that there's a personal relationship with your Creator that comes through the Spirit of God that is in you. Have you had that kind of philosophical exposure to spirituality?
Yes, all the time, Andre. I think this is one of the things that we have to guard against in our busy lives, that we crowd our days with so many activities to keep busy, because we don't want the loneliness to creep up onto us, and we don't want people to think we have no friends. And you have to take the time to be able to sit quietly and just think, to almost become bored. And that's when those spiritual moments come about, is where you're looking back and things make sense and connections are made. And you have to build that into your time, that it's not all about goal achievement, it's not all about achieving things, but it's also taking the time to reflect on those things over there. The quietness, away from television, away from mobile phones, away from people talking to you, and that's...
Go to your inner chamber.
Exactly, that's exactly it.
And when you pray in secret, God will reward you in public.
There we go, yes.
Now, let's talk about that public, James Forson. You mentioned your career very briefly. Can you give us an idea of the highlights of the little wave toppies?
Yes, oh my goodness me, this is always terribly embarrassing, because I've had a very checkered career. Going a whole range of things. Originally I wanted to become an architect, but I didn't have the mathematics marks to become an architect.
Don't you want to pour some more tea?
I'm okay at the moment. I've
Okay.
got a mouthful out there. I was
Would
going
you
to
mind pouring some for me there, please?
For the pleasure. We probably need to put both tea bags in there.
That's going to be fine, thanks. Okay, thank you, James.
I wanted to become an architect. I thought this was great because it's combining art and science, and you can create things and you can build structures, and it's all very lekker and things like that. Then, of course, my mathematics marks weren't very good enough, but in the old days, the architecture faculty department at the University of
You
Cape
have to
Town
have an
was-
artistic ability, of course, to be an architect.
Well,
And you've got that, have you?
some people say it. Yes, I do a little bit of drawing and scratching around
Okay.
on paper and things like that. As I came out of the architecture building, on the top floor was the sociology department. I said, I don't know what sociology is. I went and signed up over there, and basically ended up with a Bachelor of Social Science degree with majors in African politics, sociology and psychology. To this day, I still have no idea what sociology is, but I can use big words
Join the
along with
millions
it.
who don't.
Use big words. Then I went into the world of business, starting off as a plant operator in a mine and various things in the world of business. But after about 9 years in the corporate world, I realized that it wasn't for me. I'm not a rules-based person, and I don't mean that I'm a destructive, negative person, but simply following policy and procedure doesn't work for me. I like to do things a little bit differently, not from the point of doing differently, but because I can see a better way of getting to the result or getting to what I want to achieve. So I bailed out the corporate world and set myself up as a management consultant, independent management consultant. And that's what I've been doing for the past 23 years in various forms and guises, working with people. We start a little business together, then the partners all fight amongst each other, and we start all from scratch again. And then we team up with other folk, and then we have another fight, and then we build it up from scratch again. What this has done a number of things for me. It's when I've been able to interface with a variety of different people in a variety of different industries. And what is so apparent about this, yes, they're different technologies, they're different it's technologies underpinning the business, but at the heart of it, it's a human system. And if you understand how the human system works, and you know how this all fits together, then you can help the organization achieve what it wants to do. And then the paperwork and the cash flows and the strategic plans all follow from there. But you have to understand the human system.
But I would think, if I may come in here, that the greatest satisfaction is the work you're doing is actually helping people.
Yes, well, if they want to be helped, because one of the big laments of being a management consultant is you spend months doing very intense work with a client, and you produce a large report which passes the weight test. You know, it's got to weigh a certain kilogram because it's got to be lots of paper. And of
So
course,
you're the guy responsible for killing all the trees.
well, blame me, yes. So you have this big document over there, and then they tend not to refer to it because the day-to-day trivia gets in the way of doing the really important strategic things. And
Yeah.
that for me is a big limit. Yes, some of our clients have been very good and they have taken things on board and they have made changes, but many of them just say, oh, that's very interesting, and they go back to the normal. And that is so sad because they had an opportunity to change the business and they didn't. And there's a lost opportunity there.
Yeah. But human beings are human beings, you know. None of us can walk on the water. So I suppose you become philosophical about this, don't you?
Yes. Well, the thing is that you've got to give your client the best service you can. You've got to give them the best solution, but you can't take responsibility for how they deal with it because that's not part of your brief. So
Yeah,
you've got to go in there, you've got to advise your client, advise them the pitfalls and the problems, but at the end of the day, it's their decision.
You know, in my life, the environment attracted me ever since I was a boy. And I remember I was in matric at Jan van Riebeeck High in Cape Town, and standard 10, and I asked for an appointment at the Cape Department of the Environment to go and talk about a possible career when I left school. And one of their officers met me. And he was a pompous chap, you know, with a little thin moustache, you know, and smoking a pipe and leaning back indolently in his chair and looking at this young man with stars in his eyes, wanting to work in the environment. He says, oh, so why do you want to work in the environment? I say, I'm terribly interested in the ecology. He said, ecology? That's a big word for a young guy like you. And I thought to myself, if they kill me, if they gijzel me, I will not work for this man or his department ever in my life. And I never did. And that's when I went into broadcasting and specialized in documentaries about the environment.
Those are the serendipitous things that happen that
Yeah.
have huge impact on where we
Yeah.
go and what we do.
I just thought this man was a fool, you know, looking at me and being so denigrating. Now, the point is that I want to make with this little story is we don't always realize the impact we have on other people. Do you?
I would like to think I do have a positive impact, but I think most of the time you don't really realize the impact you have, or the impact is not immediately visible.
Yeah.
What I try to do is, rather than worry about the impact, I try to do the best I can, either in my work relationships, in providing work to clients, or in with my friends and family and so on, is to be the best, most authentic person I can be, to be helpful, supportive, kind, and the consequences, well, I have to live with that. There's so many variables in this that I tend to not worry about the consequences of what I do, but to live authentically from within, to do the right decisions that are morally, socially, personally correct and ring true to me. And the rest seems to follow from there.
Well, that's a wonderful way to end this chat. James, thank you so much, and God bless you into your future. And may you always be the kind of person you are, because I can vouch for it. Everything you've just said, I have observed for myself.
Andre, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I wish you great success with your venture.
Dit was James Vossen, die sakeconsultant. Baie dankie James, het was lekker om met jou te gesels. Ons Goue Jare is 'n gereelde weeklikse halfuur hier op die gunsteling radiostasie. Vir ouer mense en hulle kinders en kleinkinders, sodat hulle ook kan verstaan wat die uitdagings is van ouer word. Soos beloof, is Ken Mathis weer terug en hy gesels met ons oor ouer word uit 'n sielkundige perspektief.
The greatest challenges faced by older people are, firstly, money, which leads to anxiety, depression, stress, because they retire too early, or inflation of the rand has whittled away their meager resources. A second one is health, medical health, and I would add mental health as well. And the third one, he said, was crushing boredom and loneliness. How do you feel about those three?
The worry about money is a large issue. It's not as simple as it sounds. what actually is stress. This is something that is bandied about with so glibly. Anything is called stress. Any uncomfortable feeling is called stress. It's not that. Now, loss is a major concern for older people because as we go through life, we lose friends through normal attrition and family members, also through death. So we need to understand what loss means to us. What has it meant to me when I lose something like furniture or a higher income or whatever, or another person? What it really means is it means that I need to readjust to a different world without that thing that I valued, which I'm losing. Okay, and that the fear of that could be enormous. For a man who's lost his wife, the stress of the loss would encompass what now? How am I going to live without this person? My whole life is going to change. And am I still young enough to cope with all the changes that are going to be made on me? And how am I going to cope when I'm stressed and anxious and frightened and lonely when there's no one around to help me? Those are the fears. So that would be loss. And then we'd call that loss stress. Okay, that's the stress of loss. We can learn how to cope with loss and fear and so on. Often, what people do when they go through severe stress is go and see a psychologist. Okay. Now, the psychologist's role is to help people to understand the meaning of the stress, the meaning of whatever's making them unhappy, and to rephrase it and to see it in a different way and help that person liberate the resources in themselves and in the community to overcome that stress. And that is something we learn to do. We can't do it on our own. In this world today, as I see it, there's so much accent on we being self-sufficient and having to cope with everything on our own. That's not possible. That is actually a fallacy. And it's a dangerous one because no one can live this life on our own. We all need other people. Because we live in a world where our emotions aren't adequately trained to understand them and to deal with them and to live with them and to cope with them. We misinterpret our feelings. We often call things like loss, we call depression, or we even call anger depression. But depression in the true sense of the word is actually a mixture of all kinds of feelings that can find no expression or no outlet or no help. It's a feeling of helplessness. It's one of the ingredients of a global feeling called depression. And that's partly what seeing a psychologist is about, is to allow those feelings to come out, to be acknowledged, and then to see what they mean and to see how we can cope with them better. Okay.
So, Ken, I would imagine one of the dangers are that you can't sleep at night. You wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know that's it for the night, and you lie there trying to not to roll and toss so you won't disturb your partner. And then you start self-medicating. You take sleeping tablets, you take pain pills. I would imagine that self-medication can be a very threatening thing that we don't realize.
Well, it can lead to addiction, which is the worst thing that can happen, okay? I think one of the ways to deal with insomnia, especially the sort of insomnia that occurs 2 o'clock in the morning, is not to lie and fight it, okay, but to get up, go and make yourself a cup of tea and sit at your desk and write out what you're feeling. That is very, very therapeutic, to write down what am I feeling, what am I thinking, and to explore what's going on in my mind, okay? There are theories that say when we wake up in the middle of the night full of anxiety, actually it's our unconscious mind saying, attend to what's worrying you. Don't suppress it, don't deny it, attend to what's worrying you. So to try and get back to sleep is not to attend to what's worrying me. And often what was worrying us is so frightening, we want to just block it out and become numb to it, either by taking medicine.
It doesn't go away, huh?
No, it never goes away. It gets worse, as a matter of fact. So when we're feeling, one of the things that I believe in as a psychologist is that we need to pay much more attention to our inner world, our feeling world, okay? That's our personal world. We can't change the world out there, or only minimally, but what we can change is ourselves. And that is the root, and the root of growth, personal growth. And personal growth, which if we take that route and we can more or less succeed in, we'll get to old age, into the golden years, where we've resolved most of our inner conflicts, and we've come to terms with our own mortality, and we've come to terms with all types of things. And and that we can find inner peace.
Yeah.
That is the role of counseling older people, is to find that inner peace. Yeah.
Any chance of a few tips for self-counseling?
Well, there are lots of books on the market, many books on how to live a better life, how to overcome depression and anxiety. We can learn how to counsel ourselves, but first of all, we must be counseled by somebody else, because how do we know how to counsel ourselves unless we've given an example? Okay, perhaps some people do, but those are not the people I'm talking about. So if we find we're in emotionally difficulties, and the emotional difficulties would mean, am I too lonely? Am I often too frightened? Am I often fearful? Am I often resentful? Am I often full of hate and bad feelings about my fellow man? Do I see the worst in the world and in people? Am I cynical? Am I generally unhappy most of the time? Then I need help, because that's a mental condition. Yeah. And often we blame the world, and that's understandable. But of course we can't change the world, but we can change ourselves. And what can we change? We can change our response to what's happening to us. And no one can take that choice away from us, that freedom, that I can choose how I'm going to respond to what's happening to me.
Well, look, one can only hope and pray that if you've lived to be 60, 70 and 80, that you will have gained the emotional and spiritual wisdom to be able to deal with those things.
Well, that's why I like that the serenity prayer, which is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Wonderful, wonderful, profound prayer.
Ken Mathis, thank you so much.
Dankie aan Ken Mathis, die sielkundige wat ons aan die hand lei deur die kompleksiteite van ouer word. Nou ja, dit is dan die einde van ons geselsie vandag. Ek hoop dat dit baie goed gegaan en dat u dit geniet het, soveel as wat ons het geniet het, en dat ons weer volgende week 'n afspraak kan maak om hier op jou gunsteling radiostasie te vergader vir nog meer van die dinge wat ons almal behoort te weet.